Let's talk through what I would consider these three pillars of investing. And this is what I follow. And this is kind of what is the foundation for every property that I underwrite inside of my business on a daily basis. Number one is buy affordable investments, right? Buy an investment that if there's not a renter inside of that home for 4 to 6 months, that it's not going to ruin you financially, right? We can control the price point of the property that we invest. Now, sometimes that means that we might need to go to another market in order to find an affordable rental property, right? Versus, buying in Southern California, like where I live, or buying in New York, or, some parts of Florida, wherever, right? We might need to go to another state, but it's 2023. Everything can be done from a computer. So buy a property that's affordable, right? This is protecting our long-term our financial situation, right? So we don't ever put ourselves in a negative position if the property is not cash flowing for a month. So number one, we can affect the price point in terms of, are we buying a $500,000 house or are we buying a $100,000 house, right? So from day one, buy affordable investments, right? Pillar number two is focus and expect to purchase a property and hold it for a minimum of 10 years. All right. Always go into a rental property with a long-term mindset. For me, my mindset's usually 15 or 20 years, but 10's the minimum, right? And, people ask, John, why? Well, it's kind of simple. Ask yourself a question. Do you know any investor who's owned a rental property for longer than 20 years or owned a property period? It didn't have to be a rental property and lost, right? Meaning they bought it 20 years ago. They held it for 20 years. They went through 1 or 2 market turns. They saw that property value go up $100,000, down $100,000, stabilize. But if they held it for 20 years in real estate, the beautiful things that happens, if we hold it long enough, we pretty much guarantee our own success, right? So if we focus on knowing that we're going to hold that property long term, we can almost guarantee our own success. So what we've talked about so far, pillar number one is make sure we buy affordable investments. Pillar number two is buy and hold for the long term, right? I guess I just stole that one straight up from Warren Buffett. Pillar number three is make sure we at least have some cash flow from day one. We never want to put ourselves in a position where we're buying an alligator, meaning it's eating from our wallet every single month, right? We at least have some cash flow at this point in time, especially with where prices are and ultimately where interest rates are, right? And if you follow those three pillars, right, what'll start to fall away are the barriers that we're running into in this market right now. Barrier number one is price points. Price points are so high, right? Oh my God, price points are the highest they've been. I can't believe, I can't buy a house. Like these price points are so elevated. Well, if you guys remember not too long ago, probably about 12, 15 years ago, we were saying the exact same thing. The market's at the highest it will have ever been. We will never get any higher than this market ever in the history of real estate. Well, we all know that that was a lie, right? So if we come into this investment with a 15, 20-year term, guess what? Same thing's going to happen. We're going to see property values surge past where we are currently in the future, right? So we're not buying at the height of the market. We might be buying at the height of the market in this current cycle, but we're not buying at the height of the market in the future. Number two is cash flow. As long as we're cash flowing a little bit and we don't need to retire tomorrow, that cash flow is going to improve. And it's going to improve in two ways. Number one is that we will continue to increase rents, right? As the market stays as competitive it is, what'll happen is more people, as you're seeing it right now, are choosing not to buy properties because of how high the interest rates are. So what does that do? It increases the demand for rental properties, which increases the rents. Right now, we're seeing rents all across the United States increase faster than they ever have in history, right? So not only are we going to be able to increase rents year over year, which will increase ultimately our cash flow, what the second thing is going to happen is, guys, interest rates are going to come down. They're not going to be here forever. It might take 2 or 3 years to increase or to reduce our interest rates and do that refinance, right? But it's going to happen, right? And if you can suck it up with $100 a month in cash flow for 2 years, and then go from an 8.5 rate down to a 5% rate, your $100 cash flow just turned into $400 a month in cash flow, right? And guess what? We've had 2 to 3 years worth of tax benefits, appreciation, debt pay down on that rental property, right? Instead of waiting for those rates to fall down, right? Because when the rates fall, guess what? Everyone who wasn't experienced in real estate investing is now jumping back into the pot, right? When everyone was scared to invest because rates were too high, we picked up all the properties we needed and just waited and benefited from the rates dropping on assets that we already owned, right? So for me, when I'm analyzing properties, guys, those are those 3 foundational pillars that I follow each and every time. And, you know, we can, as investors, we can control those, right? And we always want to focus on what we can control and not what the market is telling us we need to do.